If there's one thing I learned about Israel and South Korea was that the pressure that you have when you're on a team that can get promoted or relegated,
Yeah.
it's completely different. It's something, it's tough to explain. I remember I played for an Arab club in the Jewish league in Israel, which was Benat Sagnin. I remember if we would lose a game and we were getting close to that relegation line, people were throwing damn rocks at the car. And I getting out of practice. I'll never forget the coach. There was one coach. I probably shouldn't even be telling you this, but either way, it doesn't matter. They're not gonna come grab me here. But it was a coach that the fans were throwing fireworks from the fireworks onto the field, and the police had to get the coach out, and then they had to fire him because the fans didn't want him to be part of the team anymore. It was unbelievable. I had never seen that. I was just like, "Yup, you don't see that in America."
Hello, welcome to the United Soccer Lounge. My name is Riley James. This is Goals TV. And when I was pitching the show to the bosses here in January of 2024, I was in Orlando, Florida. I was in a condo, and I was talking on the phone, and I was telling the story and the vision of how I wanted the show to go. And I used the word loungy. And I got a text from one of the people I was on the call with, and they asked, what does that mean? And if I could go back in time, I would send them a clip from today's show. Because today was loungy. It was everything I envisioned this show being. Because I had a list of questions. I prepare like a professional. I've done this for 8 years. I know how to interview someone. But the goal of this show is to be conversational, to be free-flowing, and to get the most out of these interviews. And today, I feel like we did that more so than any time I've ever sat in front of this microphone at this desk. The live shows are a bit different because those are fun. It's a little bit more conversational because you're there with the person. But today was the first time I achieved that sitting at this desk. Amazing interview. And it was almost like I was on FaceTime with him. The microphones didn't exist. These things in my ear, it didn't matter. We were just talking like we knew each other forever. Sebastián Velásquez of Greenville Triumph was our guest on today's program. We talked everything from RSL to his rat tail, playing in Major League Soccer, starting with New York City Football Club their inaugural season, playing in Israel and South Korea, but ultimately what brought him back to the United States the 2 times that he had left, and his 6 different stops in USL Championship before landing back in Greenville. He immigrated to Greenville as a very young child, grew up there, went to Spartanburg Methodist, first ever player in the history of Major League Soccer to be drafted out of a junior college. And now he's back in Greenville, where his American journey started. He loves it. He was sitting downtown outside at one of the tables. People were coming up and talking to his dog Tequila. It was a great show. Really a fantastic. I'm going to have fun clipping these things for the internet, and I'm sure you'll probably see this after you've clicked on one of our Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts, but it was a fantastic show. Could not be more excited. He is a great guest. He's a great talker, and I'm really, really excited for you to hear our interview with Sebastián Velásquez. But first, if you like the show, please subscribe to Goals TV on YouTube and, of course, the United Soccer Lounge on Goals.tv. Like it, share it, comment your favorite thing about French Bulldogs or Greenville soccer or whatever. It doesn't matter. Please support the show if you like it. And here is our interview with Sebastián Velásquez of Greenville Triumph. Please welcome to the program, Sebastián Velásquez. Sebastián, thank you so much for hanging out, man. How are you?
Oh, everything is good. How are you doing, man? How's everything going with you?
Everything's great, man. We're excited to have you a part of the early days of this second season of the United Soccer Lounge. And where are you? You're just hanging out outside. I see you're a little bit downtown. You got the glass behind you. Like, what's going on in your life, man?
Yeah, dude. So I'm actually downtown. I came to walk the dog with. I'm actually here with my brother. We have 2 French bulldogs. So he has one and I have one. So he's having dinner right now. I was like, I got to do an interview. He was like, do you really? I was like, yeah. So yeah. No, I just came in, hung out. Got to get a little walk around. We have a game tomorrow, so I just wanted to get my legs moving, get prepared for tomorrow. And yeah, dude, it's been cool. You know, Greenville has a beautiful downtown. So if you ever come out here, dude, the beautiful restaurants. Great weather. People walk around, take their dogs out. It's a really cool place.
Now, I know I'm not the first person to say this, but the Carolinas are a fantastic place. It's really one of the best places in America that people outside of America don't ever talk about. Like, it's a fantastic place.
No- Oh no, it's unbelievable. I was actually at a coffee shop just now, and some people apparently moved down from Boston, and they're like, "What's there to do here?" And I was like, "Bro, you're on the street where everything happens. If you want to do something, you have restaurants, you have places you can go. They're at bars, whatever you need, you'll find it on the street." So, and on top of that, I think it just keeps growing. It's crazy how much has changed since I had just gotten back. I just got back a year ago, and it
Right.
was nothing like this 15 years when I got drafted. 15 years ago when I got drafted to Real Salt Lake.
And it's perfect segue. It's almost like I sent you my notes, which I did. I want to talk about Greenville. Like before we get into anything else about your career, you made your way back to Greenville. I don't know if there's an intention there. I don't know if you were talking to multiple clubs last year, but you were, you immigrated, your parents immigrated to Greenville. You grew up in South Carolina. You made your way to Real Salt Lake after the draft. But the conversation started happening about a year ago for you to come back there and play. Now that you've been there for a year, what was that like? How do you view that decision and how beneficial has it been for your career to be back in a place you're so familiar with?
I'll be honest. I was super happy. I'm super grateful, super happy with the ownership, with Doug, with Joe, with Chris, with the coaches. So I had been reached out before like a couple years ago. Greenville Tri had reached out through the ex coach John Harks, and he had given me the interest that he wanted me to come back. So at the time, it probably wasn't in my plan yet because I still thought I could play at a much higher level, and I obviously wanted to keep playing. I was playing in Israel, I was playing in South Korea, but then my mother started having a couple health issues, and my mother lives here in Greenville. My father lives here in Greenville. Most of my family lives here, and so after the season with Indy 11, there were some conversations with some USL Championship clubs that were still interested. But I thought to myself, do I want to keep going around the country or do I want to be close to my family, go back and see all my friends, play in front of my friends and family? And we started the conversation. We actually met at a sushi spot here on this street where I'm at. I met with Ryan, which is the fitness coach, great friend of mine. He used to train me when I was like 12 and 13 years old. And I showed him a picture actually that came up on my Facebook literally like 2 weeks ago. And I was like, listen, this and this is going on. I want to come back to Greenville. So he put me in touch with Coach Rick. We sat down at a coffee shop, had a conversation, and then the rest was history. Then I came back home, ended up signing a contract, and then now we're here, man.
Yeah, it seems like a fantastic place to be. From everything I know about Greenville, South Carolina, for everything I know about the Carolinas in general, I've never met an unhappy person that lives in those places. It's a brilliant place to be. You get everything you could want, and you guys have a pretty good soccer team that made the
Yep.
postseason last year, and obviously early days this year, but you still look pretty competitive. That team, right? Because you make the personal sacrifice to come back home and to play with this team. Ends up being a really good team going to the postseason your first year there. We're in the early days of 2025. What have you seen from this team that has improved from that playoff team a year ago?
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest things we've improved on is the depth that we have. You know, we started off the season with a couple of injuries, unexpected injuries. But I will have to say that the depth on this team, the guys have come in and kind of taken into some roles that they that probably at the beginning of preseason or the first couple games they weren't starting. Now those guys have been starting and they've put on some great performances. I think we have a lot of I think the organization as a whole, with everything that's been happening, we have a new stadium coming. Obviously, with the whole Ronaldinho thing, I think that's kind of gave everyone a tunnel vision to like be like, hey, things are things are getting bigger for this club. This club is growing, and if you want to be a part of it, there's a certain standard that you're gonna have to play at or be a part of if you want to stay here and have a career here at Greenville Triumph. It's early. I've always said it's early. I mean, it's a long season. You know how soccer is here in America. So It's 11 months, so it's the most important thing is that we keep working, we keep our feet on the ground. Obviously, you know that Greenville Triumph and the history that it has been a team that always goes and does very important things postseason, making finals, has already won a championship. So I think everyone has that same expectation for, especially for this year. And I think it can happen as long as we just keep our feet on the ground and we just keep working the right way. And I think good things can happen.
And you guys had the team to do it, right? And I've watched a lot of soccer. I've seen a lot of USL things in the last year with this job. And Greenville, obviously with the promotion relegation stuff coming down the line, Greenville is one of those teams like if they're going to be in League One, they're not going to be in League One very long. Now, I want to preface this because like this is going to happen a couple of times. You have your dog on the ground and people are walking by and saying hello to the puppy. Um, I want, now this is going to be a thing.
As
So
you can see, every time I look to my right, nah, and then like there's also people that just say hello. And
yeah.
so like a lot like since I grew up in Greenville, there's people that know us. So like just a friend of mine was like, "Hey, I saw you just earlier." And she had like this big dog that was trying to bite my dog, and I was just like, "Listen, let's try to keep them away from each other." But no, it's been
What,
pretty funny. Everybody keeps walking up to the Frenchie.
what's the Frenchie's name?
Tequila. Don't
Tequila.
know why. Don't ask me why, but
Okay. Well, I just want to preface that because that's going to happen over the course of today's interview is Sebastian's going to look off and people are going to be talking to his dog in the middle of us talking over the
yep,
show. And that's why it's the United Soccer Lounge. It's loose, it's casual, we're having a lot of fun and
yeah,
we're hanging
absolutely,
out
absolutely.
here on Goals TV. I mean, like we were saying, Greenville, a fantastic history. It's great that they've added players over the time. The whole Ronaldinho thing is fantastic. What's that been like for the club and for the players, right? I mean, that's got to be a really, really cool thing that not a lot of USL clubs have.
I mean, at the end of the day, you tell me how many people around the world have had the chance to meet Ronaldinho up in person, and you know that's a small percent. To I think for the guys, it gives them a sense of like, in a way, it kind of puts pressure because at the end of the day, you're like, all right, we're representing a club that's affiliated with Ronaldinho in some way, and we know next year there's going to be a stadium that's going to be ready for us.
Right.
So I think, in a sense, players want to be a part of this club. You don't know the amount of players that have hit me up when their season are over with their own team, and they're like, "Hey, Sebastian, you think you can talk to coach? Help me come to Greenville." And so people are interested, and I think the fact that Ronaldinho spoke about it, it put Greenville on the map. I don't care what anyone says. A lot of people have hit me up and be like, "Wow, you guys have a soccer team in Greenville, a professional soccer team in Greenville, yada yada yada." Like Ronaldinho's the owner of it, and there's just a ton of conversations about it. So it's awesome. It's awesome. I think the guys have enjoyed it. I think it's really cool to be able. I have a picture with Ronaldinho. Is the most unexpected thing. I never thought 2025 I'd be. You would have told me, "Oh, you'll be standing right beside Ronaldinho doing his little hand motion." I would have been like, "Nah, that's not true." And we've been able to live some pretty cool stuff. So it's exciting. It's stuff. That's part of the beautiful game. You know what I mean? You get to live
Yeah.
things that you never expect.
And it brings a level of legitimacy and also what you said, pressure to this team. They're like, hey, this guy cares about us. This guy's invested in us. Let's go and play to the level of excellence that he did, right? It's a really, really cool thing for you guys, and it's a great thing for USL League One and USL as a whole. I want to go back a little bit to Real Salt Lake. You are now
Absolutely.
34 years old, just recently turned 34. You go back and you look at your time in MLS. You look back at all the things that made you who you are, right? That time there with Real Salt Lake and New York City FC. Being on that level has definitely provided you a level of experience and a level of expertise that has shown through in every USL championship stop and now USL League One. But before we get to that, I want to talk about the hair that you had back then. Now, I used to have wild hair too. Now I'm 24 and I've had to like button it up to be on TV and do this job. But like, do you ever go look at old photos of you in Salt Lake and it's like, what was I doing?
I look, you know, it's funny. I look back at it and I'm just like, I'll sometimes be like, what the hell was I thinking? But at the same time, I'm like, all right. But I had so much fun with it.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people. What was interesting was just the way I made it to MLS. I was the second player to ever get drafted out of JUCO, out of junior college, to
Yeah.
go straight to MLS,
Shout out
straight into the super
Spartanburg, by the
draft.
way.
Out of Spartanburg Methodist, shout out to Spartanburg Methodist.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because I never thought that hair was going to be the talk of what it became. And honestly, it was awesome. It was really cool. Every time I played, people would. I had kids that would do the same haircut. I remember going to Rio Tinto into the stadium, and I would see kids with my jersey. It said 26 Velásquez, and you would just see these rat tails that they were all little kids just with these long haircuts. And I got the same hair as you, and this and that. So at the end of the day, as long as it brought joy to people's families, people's kids, uh, I can't take away from that. I mean,
Yeah.
it looked crazy, but at the same time, I think it brought joy for kids to be like, okay, I want to look like a player that I look up to, that they probably seen me on the field, and they're like, wow, he has hair like that. That means I can maybe be different. Because at the end of the day, I consider myself to be different on the soccer field. That's how I always looked at it. I
Yeah.
was like, I'm a different type of player. I was a dribbler. I was a creator. I always try to score goals, try to make things happen. And then when you bring the hair into it, it's just like, all right, this dude's completely different from everyone else on the field. So it was pretty cool. I mean, I think people enjoyed it. Like I said, it made kids happy. It made families happy. I met so many. I created so many relationships out of it as well. Because people would be like, dude, how do you do your hair like that? Or who
Yeah.
cut your hair and stuff? And it was so funny because I cut my own damn hair. So it's just like, and so it was just like, it just worked out for the best. It was awesome. It was a good time. Now, I still sometimes I get this little thing where it starts growing, and then like, you know what, I need to shut it down. I got two kids. I need to let it go. I need to let it go. I'm not young anymore.
I mean, it's really, it's a shame that we have to grow up and do our hair a more quote unquote professional way. I got it because like my bosses were like, we can't do this. We can't have this. And I wasn't good at the time. I got a lot better since then, but they needed me to be good and or look professional. And
Now,
I got one of
now
those
let me
down.
ask you this. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. You imagine, because at some point I want to get into coaching, but do you imagine a head coach with a rat tail, with a blonde streak? People are gonna talk about it. I mean, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter what I look like. It matters what my players play like, what their mindset is, and what our record is. If you win games, hey, I've always said no one can say anything to you. And thankfully at Real Salt Lake, that's what we had a very good team. That was a very awesome team. The 4 or 5 years I was there, absolutely top class team. Beckerman was my captain. Nick Ramondo was national team.
Yeah.
Saurio was the striker. Javi Morales, one of the best 10s to ever play in the MLS. Ned Gravaboy, Will Johnson, Olave, Nat Borchers, Tony Beltran, Chris Winger. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was an unbelievable team. There
Yeah.
was only 4 players on that team that were between 18 to 23, which was myself, Luis Gil, Olmes Garcia, Joao Plata, and Lalo Fernandez. That was our subs. We were all the young kids.
Wow. And Luis Hill, also a friend of the program.
And Luis Hill Gil was there.
Yeah, he was on episode 40 something
I
down the
did see
line.
that. I did see that. I see that. I saw that. I saw that. Yep.
Yeah, he's
No,
a
it's
fan.
so interesting as well because he's still so young that he's playing with Spokane and stuff, and he's still
Yeah.
young and he's doing his thing. So it's awesome. Every time we see each other, I'm like, bro, that's so crazy. Back in the day when we used to do our thing at Real Salt Lake.
Man, it's so cool to see because I covered Major League Soccer for 4 years. So it's so cool to see some of the players I covered, like Marlon Harrison being like the prime example of that, come and play in USL and he's had success obviously with Hartford, but just to see some of you guys later, obviously I never covered you. You're a little bit before my time, but like to see MLSers come and do well in USL Championship and USL League One, it's a really cool thing for someone who grew up watching that league. And
Right, right, right.
just a continuation, like a where are they now situation, which is it's really
Yeah,
cool. Um,
absolutely, absolutely.
so let's talk about that time a little bit on the field. Real Salt Lake, NYCFC, and then you played in the NASL. That very brief kind of time there. your experiences through your career. We can talk about the abroad experiences in just a moment, but playing in the United States, playing in the top leagues in the United States, what experiences do you carry over with you now through the championship and obviously now in Greenville?
I think as far as experience, I think it's what you notice a lot is you can see the difference between a USL one player, a USL Championship player, and then a MLS player.
Yeah.
And you get to see it in phases. The reason I say phases because USL one players are players that are young players just coming straight out of college, top Division One soccer players that want to go into the next level. And then you go in and you see USL Championship players. You know, you have some older ones that maybe they didn't make it to the MLS, but they still have the ability to play in the MLS. Some players ought to be like, these guys have the ability to play in MLS, maybe didn't get the opportunity. And then MLS, you see is the experience of where these guys have played in the sense of guys that have been in the league for a long time. You have guys coming from Europe. You have guys coming from South America. So you get a mix of all these different players, but they're on top contracts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it comes down to, I think if there's one thing I could say I learned was in big moments, the composure of players that are in the MLS is completely different than the composure of a young player wanting to prove himself. I think MLS players have already proven themselves, and they keep they're built for certain systems. And USL, it's more hungry young guys. They're playing any system. They just want to get to that next level. Obviously, contract situations are completely different.
Right.
Money ranges are completely different. I think that's a big thing that I learned as well. Is, I mean, in the MLS, you can have a guy making 7 million, and then you have another guy's making 33,000. When I came into the league, I was making 33 grand, and then I had teammates that were making 7 million, and it's
Yeah.
just so. But I think at the end of the day, I think it's awesome to see how much the game has grown and how much opportunity there is now for young players compared to what it was before. So when I was growing up, there wasn't Instagram or any of those things where guys could take videos of themselves, post it. Maybe a coach sees it, maybe a scout sees it. That didn't exist before. You had to either perform at college level, make it through the college level route, and then you would get drafted into the pro league. Now you see a young 13-year-old, 14-year-old. They're going to these MLS academies, they're going to these professional academies, and then they're building their way through that academy to get to the professional level.
Right.
So I just feel like the eyes of every player now they're starting to cover every single hole to try to find the best talent in the country. And I feel like before is you had to be academically very good to be able to play at the MLS level.
Yeah.
Now, it's like I said before, we don't know what every player has a story. I believe every single player that plays soccer that's gone professional has a beautiful story. I think before there wasn't the eyes to see every single talent. I feel like now that's what's kind of given that umbrella where, hey, there's a kid in the USL one that's good enough to play in the USL Championship. He goes to the USL Championship, does well. Now it's not just thinking about MLS. Now it's you've seen kids going now overseas.
Yeah. We saw that with Nick Marcanic last year for Charleston.
Absolutely.
He went straight into Europe.
So absolutely. So now there's a certain prestige that all the leagues have created just with the simple fact that they put eyes in every single hole around the country. And I think I think that's awesome. I think that's awesome for the game. I think that's awesome for the US. I think that's awesome for soccer here. Because at the end of the day, players that have gone and played in Europe, that have played their whole life in Europe, which I've had the opportunity to play with many different guys that have played in Europe, that come here and they're like, wow, the life here is so much different. America's so dope. America's so awesome. Like you can go and walk and have a great dinner with your family, which I'm sure they probably couldn't do back home because they're getting swarmed or this and that. Here, fans have a certain respect for the players, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And just to, the U.S. is the U.S., man. The U.S. is the best country in the world. That's why it's such a blessing for me the way my mother brought me here. There's a lot of opportunity here in the U.S. and players have come here just for that. They'll get their visas, they'll get their passport, their green cards, and this and that, and then they stay with their families and they've had a great career, and then they have a career after that.
Right. No, it's a great thing, and that's why American soccer is so cool. and we've seen it grow. And I think
But
promotion relegation is going to, you know, provide even more of that on the USL level. It's a fantastic
that's
thing.
good.
Yeah, because
That's gonna be a different level, dude. I think that's gonna be. I don't think people realize how crazy. If there's one thing I learned about Israel and South Korea was that the pressure that you have when you're on a team that can get promoted or relegated,
yeah.
it's completely different. It's something. It's tough to explain. I remember I played for an Arab club in the Jewish league in Israel, which was Benat Sagnin. I remember if we would lose a game and we were getting close to that relegation line, people were throwing damn rocks at the car. And I getting out of practice. I'll never forget the coach. There was one coach. I probably shouldn't even be telling you this, but either way, it doesn't matter. They're not gonna come grab me here. But it was a coach that the fans were throwing fireworks from the fireworks onto the field, and the police had to get the coach out, and then they had to fire him because the fans didn't want him to be part of the team anymore. It was unbelievable. I had never seen that. I was just like, "Yup, you don't see that in America."
And we think college football fans are crazy here. Like
Nah,
it's a whole other level.
nah.
Like I love college football. I've grown up with college football. I've also seen what Serbian basketball leagues do to fans. I've seen what Eastern European
Yeah, yeah,
soccer
yeah,
leagues
yeah.
do. It's insane. It really, really is truly a different world over there. And
It's a
look,
different world.
honestly, like we don't have enough time to dip into everything. Honestly, I wish the show could be an hour long, but I made a time commitment to you and we have our own restrictions with the show. But I will ask you this to put a bow on this whole conversation. You have played in South Korea, you have played in Israel. You understand what it's like to play outside of the United States, but somehow, some way that you keep coming back to the United States. What is it about American soccer? And now that you've played on all the different levels of American soccer, what can you say about the culture we have in our league and the quality of soccer we have in our leagues?
I have to say the infrastructure of our leagues is very professional. You don't miss out on paychecks if you don't get a result. They take care of your family with healthcare. Um, it seems like either way in America, one way or another, you have to follow certain restrictions, certain rules in every sense of labor.
Yeah.
And I think just the professionalism of what America's building, and I've always said this, if America builds a toy, trust me, they want to make the best toy. And I feel like that's what American soccer is becoming.
Yeah.
You're seeing stadiums get look at the stadiums that have been built. Beautiful stadiums.
Incredible.
You see the training facilities. Facilities are getting better every time. So at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. I think the infrastructure of soccer, if it keeps growing the way it is, and we keep putting eyes on all the players that are around the country, the US will do something very important in the future. It just has to keep getting better and keep getting better and keep getting better. And I think there's just something very important for American soccer in the future.
And what an incredible timing with the World Cup coming in 2026, with
Yep.
promotion relegation coming in 2027, a Women's World Cup in 2031. And I mean, we've just seen an incredible run of soccer in this country with the 2024 Copa America coming to our shores. I mean, it's going to be a fantastic 8-9 year run, and it's all up to U.S. soccer and the USL and Major League Soccer to do something with it. And it's going to be really, really fun to watch. And if they mess it up, it's our job to criticize that and hopefully correct the mistakes. But we cannot afford to make a mistake in this country when it comes to soccer right now. And hopefully they get those things right.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're exactly right. I think the World Cup's a perfect opportunity for the world to see what America keeps talking about, what they
Yeah.
want to do, the infrastructure, everything. I think you've seen it with Copa America. I think Copa America was an eye opener to show them how crazy the fans are when it comes to South American teams, when it comes from teams from other parts of the world.
Yeah.
But if they get the World Cup right, I think it'll be the best opportunity to grow American soccer in the quickest way. It's
Right.
a small timeline. The World Cup's 2 months.
Hmm.
If you do things right, it puts all eyes on MLS, USL, USL One, and it'll just keep growing opportunities for players to go overseas or go to the MLS.
And they got 94, right? Right. Major League Soccer is a direct response from the success of 1994. Hopefully, promotion relegation, getting massive traction as a result of 2026. But Sebastian, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We're a bit over time. I appreciate you hanging out. Do you want to give a shout out to where you're at right now? Do you want to get some free promotion?
Do I want to what? Sorry, sorry.
Do you want to give some free promotion to where you're at right now to this place in Greenville?
Oh yeah, right now we are at what's the name of this place? Nosedive. Nosedive. My brother's the one that brought me here. I will give out a shout. I
Can we
will
see
give it a little
Tequila?
shout out to the little baby that keeps getting all the love. So say hello. She yeah, she seems like everyone loves her here. So but yeah, dude, thank you so much for having me. Love talking football. Always great to be on have conversations like this, and hopefully we'll chat again, man. Hopefully at the end of the season after we win a championship with Greenville Triumph.
Yeah, we gotta get you back in the program. You have to have the dog and the trophy. Hopefully with the champagne goggles still around your neck. We'll get you on the program.
There you go. Absolutely, my man. Absolutely.
Sebastian, please stay healthy the rest of the season.
All right,
Best
brother.
of luck to you guys, and hope you and Tequila have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday.
Hey, thank you so much, man. Appreciate you. Have a great day, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much to everyone with Greenville for making this happen. Our first interview with this club. We're always super thankful to make those things happen, and it usually leads to 2 or 3 more over the course of the season. Really, really a fantastic, top-notch club they have in USL League One. And shout out to Doug Irwin, who made this process extremely easy and to be able to facilitate this whole process. And obviously to Sebastian, who made time, who was very flexible on a very minor scheduling issue that we had. He was down to do it. He went overtime with us, which I cannot appreciate enough. And as always, thank you to USL League One for making this happen on the administrative side. That'll do it for us. Thank you so much for watching our program today. You can always follow us on the internet. I am at Riley James IAC on Instagram and X. You can find exclusive content available for this show, clips of shows past and present on at USL on Goals. Make sure to check out goals.tv. Plenty of great creators from all over the soccer landscape, but the entire catalog of my show is available on goals.tv. Thank you so much for watching our show today. Massive shout out to everyone with Greenville Triumph. Massive shout out to you. So for Sebastián Velásquez, I'm Riley James. If anyone cares, we'll see you again next week.